So some people wrote in and they said, I just can't believe this is happening. If this was only not happening, wouldn't it be so much better if this wasn't happening? I can't believe this happened. Look, there are things happening, bad things happening all the time, everywhere, in every place, for every reason under the sun. Every rationalization you can possibly think of, it's happening. Oh, what's that sound? Did you hear that? How many car accidents, how about fatalities have happened in the last 5 minutes? Do you know? Did you know? Can you know? Could you have prevented it? Do you care? Why don't you care? Do you deny that that is that happened? That that's happening? That this realm is not perfect? That it was not meant to be perfect? Are you in denial? So just think of the complete types of total degenerates and the crazy things that they can think up and the people that enabled them. People that have been at war with us for hundreds, if not thousands of years in many cases, that are involved in memory wars. There's all different types of academic, psychological wars. Like, you can't say that we're at fault, that we're bad people, that we didn't do this right. You didn't do this right. You're the bad guy. You're the person that made it. Your kinds of people are the ones that are responsible for every evil in the world. Because we say so. Because some people did something to us and that's what we learned and it didn't matter anyway. But we're going to go with that story because it fits our conceit a lot better than the other stories that are more accurate and maybe backed up by more credible historians. But that story makes me feel bad. I feel bad. You see, I feel real bad. I feel terrible. And because I feel terrible and I don't want to feel terrible, I'm gonna adopt some hot horseshit instead and attack you. Attack people like you. I'm gonna get revenge on people like you who made me live this existence that I hate. And they're bouncing off the walls in a lunatic asylum. In the public forum, they've been set loose like a bunch of barbarians. A whole Trojan horse full of them, operating in universities that used to be monasteries run by religious people that knew a whole lot about the devil and devilish people and devilish tricks, but they have since been excluded from the universities that they founded by money people. Where did they get that money? Was it an oil well in Kazakhstan? Nobody knows. Of course it's legitimate. Bankers wouldn't deposit funds in bank accounts if it wasn't legitimate. Surely bankers are legitimate. Their priorities are always in the right place, aren't they? At least they think so. They say so, and they've got enough money to make a lot of people believe it, don't they? So how could these problems happen? How is it possible? How is it possible? Look, just wrap your brain around it. Like I said, nobody gets up in the morning and say, hey, today's a great day for an automobile accident. But there you go, you get on the freeway and so vroom, there's somebody texting, "Hey, I like your butt there, baby. Send me another one," and slams into your car at 100 miles an hour. Whose fault is that? Is it the universe? Is it karma? Is it somebody's electron microscope that still can't find the last piece of matter to prove sophistic theories that are convenient for the lowest kinds of degenerates and maniacs that the world has ever seen and experienced, that have cartelized themselves into monopolies and flushed our political establishments and institutions and baggified and anode America out of existence, redefined it as a sewer and a madhouse. But they're good people, they say. Look at all that money, 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 money makes that world go round, right? People working for money, 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 money. So let it stick to them like toilet paper, like a big paper mache kind of monstrosity that sticks to them. Wow! There they are, the rich people. This party is full. We don't need any extra people. Are you on the list? Wait a second. You haven't been approved? We don't need any extra people. What? You're a genius? You're someone who's virtuous? You're a philosopher? You're this? You're that? Wait. It's full. The pool's full. Close the door. It's a private party here. We make the rules. We're better than you. We're proving it right now. We captured your infrastructure and now we subvert that what we own, and we own it because it's legal, because the system is political. And we got those people too. Game over. We won. Now we got to play games. So do jumping jacks. Hit the ground, hit the dirt and give me 50. Oh, you did 50? I said 55. What's wrong with you? I make the rules. This democracy doesn't have to be popular because I say so. Look, people, see, I should have done more of the comedy routines. The closer you get to the truth, the less people are entertained. So you can just take these realities and turn them into comedy. That's really talent. That's talent. That the other thing, when I just telling people straight up what happened and who did it, who done it, how it's being done, and the absurdity of it all. That's where people get down. They just start dazing off into the distance, like walking. Like, I cannot believe I'm living in this kind of hell realm. How's it possible? Look, that's cognitive dissonance. There's nothing really special about that. See, you're imagining a perfect world. But that's precisely what this place isn't. So you're delusional in your perfections. Yes, 2 plus 2 is 4, but these people, they are not here to satisfy you. They're here to dissatisfy you. But you don't have to engage with them in the outside world as all that much, and certainly not in the interior world. Right? They're caricatures. You can think of them as figments of your imagination. They don't really exist unless you think they do in that way. Because deluded people are not people anyone should really care about. What you need to care about is not being deluded yourself, or being less deluded than you were just 1 minute ago. That's what matters. Because that's a major skill. I was talking the other day, I was talking to someone, I was like, being able to direct your thoughts away from annoying things, my goodness, that's an underappreciated skill. And nobody seems to be making use of it, or at least not as much as they could, and enjoy the benefits of doing that. Why aren't more people doing that more often? And they just stared at me like, oh yeah, sure, people can change their minds, yeah. Oh God, is it Monday again? Oh no, 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 stop. Somebody stop this train, I want to get on. Why is it Monday again? Why is this world this way? And I said, no. That's precisely what I was talking about. Stop that train of thought. You can hit the little button, beep. Oh, that train, it stopped. And now look, hit the other button, boop. Doors open up. Psh. Walk on off that train. You can do it. It's your train of thought, isn't it? Or is it yours? Is it you? Is it yours? Is it me? Is it mine? That's where you can play games that you can win. And when you do get off that train, it's so liberating. Not on that train anymore. I'm off the train. I'm not getting back on that train. Oh look, I turned around. Poof. That train just disappeared. And now I'm on my paradisical island. I'm not going to say I'm looking off the coast of Sicily, because then people might get jealous. And then there's the Sicilians that are they're very nonplussed about being there. Many of them. Watch those fast fingers on the beach. There's a bunch of thieves that like to predate on tourists there. Lose some stuff, you might get really angry about that. Why is that? Well, you were attached to things that can be separated from you. Look at all those people losing their lives just when they thought they beat a rap, that they walked away with the loot, and then what happened? It just happens like that, right out of the blue. Lightning and thunder and tornadoes, and everything's gone. Everything's gone. Reputation gone, credibility gone, money gone. How could it happen? They didn't see it coming. They thought they had everything covered. They were playing 9D chess with themselves, and then look what happened. So I'm not going to say it happens to the best of us in that example, but it can happen to the worst of us too. It does. Nobody gets off this planet alive. So you're 62 and you feel like you got everything under control? What's that sound? Uh-oh. What's that sound? Is something malfunctioning inside that you have no control over? What? Did you leave the microwave on, or was it the neighbor? And you can just go like that. You've got no control, but a lot of people think they do. They think they've got tomorrow to figure things out, or the next day, or next month, or next year, but they're stuck. And they're going down. Right, I always like referencing the labyrinth. She sat down. She sat down. Boop, 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 boop. Down. People are going down, 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 down. But that's not the place to go. They didn't want to go there. Why did they say go down? Why did she say go down? Go up, up. You got it, 2 choices. Down or up, go up. Change course now. Change your mind, change the entire future. Start with you, which is not you and not yours. Start by dropping a self that is not a self. Do you think is you? You don't have to be a bad person. You don't have to think yourself as a bad person. You don't have to think of yourself as a bad person. That maybe bad people have told you that. Maybe it's not just them. Maybe it's your memory of people that are telling you that you keep telling to yourself and believing it. Stop doing that. None of us are born bad. This is a fortunate dimension. It's a screwy dimension. It's an absurd dimension. And many times it's also an exhilarating and marvelous and fascinating and beautiful dimension. It's just so compelling. It's just so fascinating. Just so good at times, we think. And sometimes we're deluded about it, but sometimes we're not. That's why these people, I don't know, people get too much in the feelings. I don't feel it. I don't feel it. It's not true. I don't. What are these amoebas that say things like that? It's not about feeblings. Feeblings. My feeblings aren't there. My Oompa Loompas have left me in the lurch again. Where are my feeblings? No, neutrality, perfect equanimity. No feelings involved in that at all. It's wonderful. It's the purest of air that one can breathe. Why can't you be content with that? Why is that not good enough for you? Why not? Why not? What reason do you invent to rob yourself of meaning? Someone wrote in and said, whatever you do, don't talk about white slavery. And I thought to myself, why is that? Why do they keep avoiding that topic as if it never existed? See, it's sort of like, see, these minders, it's all psychological games. What they focus on over and over and over and over and over again into decades of focusing on things is that they're able to pretend that everything else didn't happen, doesn't exist. And so it's sort of an agendaism. It's part of an alternative reality technique. But let's just, maybe you've heard, now I can't really speak for the younger generations that have been moronified by white slavers essentially. But maybe they heard the term, maybe some people heard the term, at least from the United States, indentured servitude. Now, if you've heard that term, you probably heard also that it was limited to 7 years. But now think for a second, what is a 30-year mortgage? Is that not a form of peonage? If we're just going to be accurate about terms. And then what would that represent in terms of slavery going up or down for white slaves? You know, the plebeians, the people that in a two-tier system don't have political or legal representation, really. I mean, maybe if you get a speeding ticket, but in other things you might not. Like if you say the wrong words in a slave system, you can get 20 years, 10 years, 3 years, something like that. Said something the despotic class didn't like. Get fired from your job, you can't support yourself, you're pariahified by slaver class, by their little ideologues and lick spittles, step and fetch it class. 30-year mortgage suckers. That's not going up in the freedom index. That's going down. So that's what, triple or quadruple the slavery index in modern times for luxury boxism. Look at this luxury box, Nestor. Look at the Nestors like luxury boxes like this. So, yeah, that's pretty should be pretty jarring to you, pretty disturbing to you. If it isn't already, you're like, oh well, what else is new? How about that sports game yesterday with a monstrous, barbaric, and jarring display of total inanity? That's the other thing. Sports, just forget about it. These sports aren't even circuses at this point. They're just monstrous. How anybody can watch that for more than 3 seconds and not puke is beyond me. But yeah, sports are dead. 30-year mortgages, that's worse than indentured servitude. How about this? During indentured servitude, a lot of times you learned a skill. You got into an industry and you were able to set up shop pretty much. After that, you could do what you learned. So some of it you could think was a holdover from the Middle Ages with guild systems and things of that nature. Yeah, sorry, young people. When you start out, you might think you know a lot of things, but really you don't know anything. And you don't know how to do something useful for others. And accumulating those skills, it does take that time. And just because there was indentured servitude didn't mean everybody became a success. It's just it was a social convention. Because 7 years is a long damn time. But 30 years in a craponomy run by just monstrous, despotic, hateful class of people that have astronauted themselves out of Western civilization. They're globalists, peonists that have lock, stock, and barrel subverted the political process and legal systems. And culture. They're big on crapping on the culture. Now, people outside the United States might not have ever heard of NPR, or National Public Radio, but it is the most despicable and horrible and retrograde and retarded kind of radio programming anyone has ever produced up until this time. It's non-stop nonsense. Like, oh, well, there was a nautical museum in Mystic, Connecticut, but it's getting redone because they found a pot in the ground that they say was related to some Siberian peoples that they call Native Americans or slave ship or something, and they're going to take over, redesign the museum to discuss that piece of pottery of unknown lineage, because maybe they even put it in the ground and stamped on it with rubber boots and then dug it up. And now they've got a story about it that involves a lot of shaming and blaming, but also healing and coming together and wah 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 wah. So imagine 1,000 different versions of that just being blared out on TV, and then classic rock is the other station. So it's like music hasn't even changed since then, and then a bunch of utterly inane and stupid sporting events. That's the cultural programming the peons get paying off those 30 plus year mortgages on in luxury boxes. Again, in an economy that is pretty much, on cruise control, companies that might have been started by people that had put two and two together, but they got bought out by accountants a long time ago, or capital funds, and now the workers there are trapped in some kind of nightmare. Gulagism. Like, oh, wait a second. We put 3 sticks of sugar in the break room, and there's none today, so we're having a meeting about that. It is not permissible to use those sugar packets for your own consumption. I want to make that clear. And if anyone, and I mean anyone, does that, they will be fired immediately. And that's why we've installed this robo camera here and have trained it on the sugar bowl to make sure that never, ever, 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 ever happens again. Now, are there any questions? Those types of people got into engineering or manufacturing, all of a sudden that's progress. So yeah, we're living in uncharted territory as far as what do we want to call it? Bonkerism. I think that's a good one. But write in the comments what you think we could call it this time. I mean, we're leaving the epoch of infamy, and now I'm going to say there's a segue into bonkerism, but that's a term I just came up with. But maybe some other people have some suggestions. Do put those in the comments. But there was also news that, Bido, that, again, poster child for a malignant narcissist, someone who will never, ever admit they were wrong and never, ever stop. Did all these Baggins and Bilbos, they sort of become that by default. But that he changed the nuclear policy regarding China, which is, upping its production by like 200 nukes, like adding 200 nukes to its arsenal, like every 6 months. They finally got to the top that might be concerning, a concerning development, because golly gee willikers, who do you think those nukes are being made for? Is it Russia, who they're sending all these microchips to, or is it someone else. Who would that be? Well, somebody figured that one out, so they're finally coming up with a counter-strike policy. I guess that's sort of how you want to call it. But they're a little slow, because it's about the money, and because their Sino friends have helped them so much get into positions like NPR or the culture, the universities, or the economy. They couldn't believe that they're probably gonna, nuke all these just horribly, terribly mismanaged and run into the ground kind of cities that represent nightmarish conditions for anyone. Like you can fly somebody in from Paraguay or where's another? Fly them in from New Guinea. Fly them in from some other place and do like a survey. You have these reality TV show programs. Let them just walk around for like 3 days if they make it out alive. I mean, you might have to have a security team shadowing them. And then have them like just discuss what they think that place was. Don't tell them where they are in the world. Like they could be in India, they could be, anywhere. So you don't tell them where they are, and just tell them to describe how they found the place to be. And it would be comedy gold. Because if you think that's what civilization looks like, if you've been trained to think that that is progressive, what are the terms they apply to that don't apply at all? Then you're walking on your hands. You're the equivalent of someone walking on their hands all day. Or your head up your butt. Head up your buttism. That's something we can talk about late stage alternative reality. But these are the people, the successful people, the people, who are the people who want to take credit for that? Who are the people that are responsible for that? Again, not just the proxies that were set up to take the fall for that, but the people who put up the proxies. Who are the donors that are donating to proxies that keep a lid and a veneer on conditions that aren't acceptable for even primitive people, so-called, from primitive places? They're proud of that, are they? Why are they proud of that? Why do they preen themselves when there's no accomplishment to speak of? In fact, you could classify them as massive socio-cultural, economic, political crimes, like of the century, of 1,000 years. It's just Genghis Khanian kind of accomplishment in air quotes. I do recommend people read Zhuangzi, a Taoist philosopher from China. He accompanied Genghis Khan and provided an eyewitness accounts of the barking dogs of formerly Western inhabited cities on the Silk Road. But see, even that was more civilized than the modern equivalents, because it was quiet except for the dogs barking of the people that he had exterminated. But yeah, we got people proud of that. The people running NPR, the culture, alternative reality culture, they're really proud about what they do. They're very motivated. They put in a lot of work. I mean, they might not be based in the country. I mean, maybe they're in a bunker in North Korea somewhere. But they're very matter of fact about their cultural jamming activities. And it seems to be funded, but it wouldn't be by the public, would it? Or is it? Did the public... is there no public oversight regarding cultural jamming? Is that a term that seems too complicated for football oglers, because they must think that nobody cares enough. Uh, and maybe they're right, because they've been doing this for a long time and there has been nobody that's pulled the plug on them yet. When they're flagrantly, outrageously toxic and openly not credible. They're offensive on every level that uh, any type of cultural person could pick up in a second. But no, they're the defining voices of today. Let's go to what, Barnesville, United States, where they're celebrating a cactus butt plug that's been created by Susie McMuffin. That's just her stage name. Tell us, Susie, all about this wonderful creation of yours. I mean, look, I don't want to give them any ideas, but people investigating cultural war crimes of the future can just look to their programming at this time and just realize they've been doing that for at least 2 or 3 decades. And then just add that up, and then you know what you're looking at and the people that back them. They're donors, like where their hearts are and minds are. That also should be considered as part of the cultural war crime outfit that they represent, and treated also accordingly, because they treated everybody that listened to their crap the same way. So, why not have a little reciprocity as far as that goes? I do think it would be warranted in their case. But yeah, that's just one little thing. So you turn on the radio, that's what you get. You show up in different venues, you get that too. You get people pretending to be moral people, moral crusaders that are consistently wrong on all of the issues. Isn't that strange? Where did they come from? How do you produce torpedoes like that? What does the torpedo factory look like? Has anybody walked in one and just had a tape recorder or maybe a phone that they just let film these things? Anybody figure that one out? What, it's young people that don't know what they're walking into, just blindly going into sociological traps that were set up for them like that. Well, who would be letting that happen? Those good people, you think? Are they going to heaven, or do they feel like there's no connection between the people that they're brain scrambling? Or maybe there's even a hostile relationship, like they don't like the people because they feel inferior to them, maybe on some really subconscious level. And so this is how sadists can overcome that inadequacy that is gnawing at them at all times, because they got hair triggers for things that could offend them, kind of people. Is that what we're looking at? Are we looking at deranged kind of maniac people like that shouldn't be anywhere near cultural venues, but seem to think they belong there? Is that the culture of, what do we call it? Moving into bonkerism? But yeah, those nukes, I think, like, if people think that this game is over, just imagine those places that people from Papua New Guinea would consider to be horrifying for legitimate reasons, that they could get nuked like real quick, and then it's about how to rebuild. And might I suggest that it shouldn't be rebuilt on the previous model or the people that made that model a reality. Because that's how quick reality can change. Materialists, see, they might be big into their holdings and assets, but when they all get blown to kingdom come, then how rich are they again? Not too rich? They strategically bongoed that one too. They fumbled that ball as well as every other ball they get their little grubby mitts on. How rich are they then? So yeah, I think when that happens, you need to also start looking around for the people that were the lead up to that complete and utter strategic failure. And also, for all the people that died because of these terrible oversights, that perhaps that will be attributed to them. And in that way, some justice be served, should they survive. I mean, it's not really clear where they live at this point. But if they should survive, then I do believe that all those people that they allowed to be incinerated, that they have some voice in the future as far as making sure that these massive criminals are brought to justice. But it was funny regarding these crap-ass sports teams. All these players are also there's people you can find videos that explain like how badly behaved these sports players are too. Like if they go into an airport, they feel like they need to have first class service. If they don't get one thing, they lose their minds, like some type of little Lord Fauntleroys. Just really horrible people. You would think, that they were, because they were pulled up out of the gutter, they'd be a little bit more appreciative. But no, that's just a narrative or a thought the good people have, that they project on these monsters. But no, they came out of a bad place, they're bad people, and they stay that way, and money blows them up, blows those egos up. They're also massively involved in all different types of crimes and have criminal networks. Where they came from, their schools spelled SCOOLZ, schools, where they came from, or neighborhoods, or families, or whatever else. They're essentially some kind of criminal class. You could watch those, but it was funny. There was a cashier and some bozo was like, "Hey, look, today's the game day. I'm just gonna fill in the blank teams on in the next hour or so." And the cashier was like, Who are they? What's that?" I think other people are catching on too. Who gives a damn about these teams? They don't represent your country or your location. So stop wearing their dumb jerseys or paraphernalia or anything else. Stop watching these things. It's open mockery at this point. Oh, no, it's tradition. Whatever, man. They cooked you in the Overton frog pot, and the crap that is on today that they're running like a circus has nothing to do with 50 years ago, where you could say it started its demise. So you're that brain dead. You're a damn disgrace. You're ridiculous. You're something that will go into a repository of nonsense in the future. Like, look at this. This is what they were able to do with captive populations before everything got wasted. So don't be in that film, suckers. Just forget about it. It's over, right? It's been co-opted. They took it over. They wrecked it. That's what they do. You could do forensic analysis. Who were the personalities that let them in? Just complete and utter pieces of crap. But that's sort of personalities that are attracted to circuses. So was it inevitable? Some people would say yes. I say no. Those people, they're not in hell already. They're going there, and they're never coming back to the human dimension. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, I'm just postulating. Might not be true in some cases, but mostly I think it's on point. But that, I'm telling you, working class is starting to get it. Like, something stinks here. What? I'm supposed to care about a team? It's team day, but what? Don't even know what you're talking about. So people have reached their limits out there. So they think they're the radical class. No, they don't even know what radical is. People have made a radical departure. They're in this dimension, but also not of this dimension kind of people. And those are my kinds of people. We laughed. I said, you're overqualified for this job because you should be in comedy, not me. And she said, yeah, I am overqualified for this job. This isn't the only thing I do. So we were laughing. It was a good time. But the sports fanatic, he walked off a little miffed. He didn't know. He felt like he had been insulted on some level, but he didn't know which level. But yeah, there's all different levels to this. So for my people out there, keep on laughing, keep on trucking, because this dimension, it's just one bus stop, and it's a bus terminal, right? So there's different destinations, and with laughter, you get to the better places. So what is the final analysis on sports? Well, A, stop watching it. Don't go to the damn games. Don't pay for tickets. Don't talk about it. Don't listen to it. If you want to get involved in sports, get into some yogic practice, but not the crappy yoga that the counterculturalists think they have a lock on. Personal practice, right? How can these fat goobers watch sports and not be fit themselves? So stop jamming your face full of all these sausages and doing nothing but screaming and hooting and hollering at a bunch of spectacles that would make a human being shudder. And clean out the garbage bin of your mind and refrain from engaging in sports of any kind that anyone could call professional or leading to that. And again, sports, if you want to get into a sport, then get into it yourself and then dedicate yourself to that, but not for someone giving you a little booby prize at the end, because it's about the performance in each individual mind moment. That's what it's about. It's not about the audience. Your audience is let's say, the top 100,000 virtuous people on this planet at any given moment in time. You think they don't exist? They do. They're amongst the masses of asses. So that's your audience. That's who's looking down at you. But it doesn't have to be that way. You elevate yourself, you can look those people in the eye again. But turn these damn TVs and don't bet on them. How'd that? So don't watch them, don't pay for the tickets, don't bet on them either. It's rigged as a dig-a-dong, one-armed bandit with a computer running it. So forget about it. That's another thing. Olympics, yeah, why? I mean, it needs to be redone. Until it's under new management, it's just the fake version of the real thing. And does that stink? Well, if you think that stinks, then let it motivate you to flip the script on the loony bin bus that has run over everyone in this country for a long time now. That's where your focus should be. Till that happens, there's no sports. There's just noise and images and figures and loudness and crassness and obsceneness. And that's just the way it is. So yeah, you sports, that was something for 30 years ago, and you didn't get the memo. So now here's the memo. Forget about sports. But okay, for the dumb oafs that still need to watch something, just why don't they roll tape on all these dog fights? You know, the illegal ones that are being run. Have just 24/7 dog fights where pit bulls are ripping apart poodles and little chihuahuas and other dogs that might get nabbed, and just have that on TV. Because that's the level of cultural sadism that we're living in right now, in a not so alternative reality. So get your little big brains and butts unplugged from whatever it is you've been captured in, because that is defunct. Bring back what? Dog fighting. Yeah, get it. All channels, you just put dog fighting on it until this thing gets flipped back on course. Well, the big news is in. I guess you could call it big news if you thought it was big news, but was it Robert F. Kennedy has endorsed Trump for a second term. Now they say he's got 5% of disaffected votes, but look, that's 5% of disaffected voters. Those are voters for the Mobilized Party, right? Because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wasn't really cut out to be president, was he? I mean, he could hardly talk. And he's been involved in sort of a bunch of different conspiracies. But in any case, let's give him a golf clap for endorsing Trump. The Harris people didn't even pick up the phone when he asked if they would want to endorse him. He was brokering his endorsement, which, is what it is. Now, I did note he seemed to have all these different weird positions. I mean, that maybe a foreign service would do, because they're sort of scrambled positions, and also discrediting kind of positions. Like he had some type of bear story, then there was a brainworm story. So be advised of that. Any type of conspiratorial weird theories. Like I said, that's sort of a red flag for disinformation outfits or people puppetized by them. Because, these organizations that can get dirt on people, and then they make some type of arrangement with them and say, well, look, you do this and then we won't do that type thing. Or we'll pay you this and we won't do that type thing. So that's politics, right? So maybe they got some type of hooks in them. And that's what he did. But the thing he did say was, oh, we want to get away from neocon militarism, which, everybody sort of would agree with that. But of course, what does that mean? Like, how do you define that? And then he came out and said, well, we need to stop supporting Ukraine. Well, that's wrong. That's not neoconism. Really, it isn't. If you look at the neocons, they were dragging their feet the whole time. It's just military advisors of better friends with better brains and better places like Western Europe were like, hey, we got nothing. If you don't do anything, all Europe's going to get rolled over. And so they had some non-dingalingists tell the dingalingists, hey, look, this is going to be a total world-changing catastrophe if we don't step up and do the right thing. It's a big difference than between Ukraine and Afghanistan, okay? That's neoconism. Afghanistan, where we accomplished nothing and wasted 20 years and degraded our military forces in the boneyard of history, that was neoconism. Ukraine has nothing to do with neoconism. But it was odd that he came out against that. Why would he do that? Like, what does he even know about that whole region? So that was very odd. But other than that, yeah, he backed Trump. I hope Trump doesn't believe that BS. But looking at these old fossils, and we sort of have a fossilification of the political system and culture and everything else. These people had bad ideas back in the 60s and they still haven't come out and admitted it yet. I think that's really important for authentic people to come out and say, yeah, we were idealistic back then, but we basically got conned and we admit it and we apologize and there's really nothing we can do to make it right, but if I can do anything to help make it right, I will, including going on public record as admitting making gigantic strategic domestic mistakes. But no, they're still on alternative reality narrative, where their march through the institutions as radical leftists really helped the country out, and they achieved all the high-minded goals they set out to achieve. Well, oh no, they haven't achieved any of those, but they still think they're on the way there, although there's no indication of that ever happening because the ideas they signed up for were culture jamming and destructive and from the other side via the international. But they're a class, they're the political class, so they're part of the minder class, they're the authoritarian class. They're the security theater and taxation class. So of course they didn't make any mistakes. Everyone else made the mistakes. They didn't make any mistakes. Their hearts are in the right place. Their butts are in the right place. Just keep believing them. Keep believe, right? So that's very sad. This old political class that will not admit that they made catastrophic mistakes that are still with us today on basically every level. They're obnoxious in the extreme. They really are in an alternative reality. And you have to consider that it's probably not just a program, it has to do with malignant narcissism. I think these people are defective on a psychological level, not just a moral one, but their inverse morality is really vomit-inducing, especially as things become more and more degraded in real life, but in their abstract Barbie kind of world, they just keep seeing their bank accounts grow. So they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for more lying to the American people. That whole political culture needs to stop. Any politician that's rich, isn't that strange? They had their salary and They're rich? How did that happen? Take a bunch of bribes? What type of illicit behavior have they been involved? Oh, it's legal, it's legal. They have a team of lawyers saying it's legal, but that's not, politicians should not be up for grabs, should not be in with lobbyists, should not be in with financial interests, should not be rich. They're rich. That's a smoking gun. They're criminals. Just not legally criminals, but actually, in spirit, they're criminals. I've got $200 million, and I went in to politics without a penny. God bless America. That person, right after the speech, this should be, here's some handcuffs for you. We're going to be taking you to your retirement home. That's how the political culture of the future should be. Even if they hide it under a rock, it should be found. Because we don't, let me get this message out to the American people, we don't need profiteers in the political system. You want to try to get in and peddle influence. That is the biggest crime you can commit as a politician. So however it's done this way, it's done that way, it's unacceptable. If you did it, you're a criminal. You haven't been busted yet? Well, you're a criminal that hasn't been busted yet. Your alternative reality doesn't amount to a hot bucket of spit. So you sold us all out. You're rich. We're supposed to golf clap for you? I don't think so. So just go away. Your alternative reality is really lame. It's almost like the devil trolls his own people, doesn't he? Like, here, you get famous, but you're famous for being the worst kind of stooge, and we're going to let people know about it. Because are they doing it intentionally, making themselves look as ridiculous as they are, or do they still think they're not that? See, this is the problem when you're dealing with people stuck in alternative reality. You're like, where are their minds at? That they would go up on stage and have people create a public relations stunt. And yet, people in the know what types of total retrobates they are. Like, what is this what corporation are they in? Oh, it's their party. Their party is their corporation. They got their marketing department, and then they're bullies. Hey, wait a second. You can't say that. We didn't do that. We did it this way. They did it that way. Just a marketing department that inhales their own methane and tries to bully other people into thinking their way. So that political culture needs to die entirely. That has nothing to do with America. It has nothing to do with Americanism. That's not the way the country was set up. That's not the spirit of the country. That's not what the people want. It's what a bunch of bullies came up with, and there they are. Democratic Party, anybody who's ever been a member of the Democratic Party should feel ashamed of themselves. But if they don't, well, that's understandable because they're probably insane clinically on narcissistic and schemeristic and psychopathic levels. Just look at all the destruction they've unleashed in cities, and then they still think they're still talking about economy or something like that. These people are space cadets. They're Sputniks. So realize what's keeping the world together. It's good people despite bad people like that. But these bad people want to keep that monopoly, and there's no reason in the world Americans or any other citizen of any other country should allow them to do that. So you know what is Americanism is free speech. So people in your countries, you see these crap heads, they have nothing to do with America. They're monopolists. They're usurperist. They're a usurperist internationalist fiasco, posing as Americans. But I guess they're sort of like a cartel, like they're a third cartel somewhere. So are they Russian? Are they Chinese? Are they a mix? Where are they coming from? They're just ANOs. They're the ANO party. So remember, Democrats 100% ANO. Republicans, I'd say, well, let's say 80% ANO. I'm going to give 20% of slow people the benefit of the doubt, even though I don't really feel I should be doing that or anybody else. But let's just give them 80% ANOs, and Republicans, let's say 40% ANO. That's at this time. We're going to say August 2024. That's just the vibe in the room. So would you vote for an 80% ANO party as an American? I don't think so. But ANOs will vote for ANOs, which is why they're sort of on the ANO ticket, right? They sort of like that. They think that should be supplant the real American idea and real Americans, and they really do work towards that with all different types of hybrid kinds of attacks. Socioeconomic, political, psychological, how about medical? That was one thing. RFK came out. He said, "Yeah, these lobbyists, they're in the regulatory bodies now, so that's why all these people are sick." I believe that part. See, you have to know when is it stupid conspiracy and when is he maybe speaking the truth. I'll give him 2 points on that one. That all institutions need a full review. And any ANOs in there, they go out, and I would just get everybody out based on the failure of the failures on the ground. Just pull the plug on it, start over, get together 10 people whose hearts are in the right place, and keep an eye on them and see what they come up with, and go with that. I think you have a better chance than some damn institution that these radical leftists have cored out. And not just radical left, like, again, don't get caught up on ideology. They're just really crap people that would take essentially bribes to rubber stamp anything as mandarins. So it's not just endemic to the United States. Any government can have slugs like that unionize themselves together and call themselves political. They turn on the TV and watch the news. They're political. They get irate if something doesn't go their way. They make a phone call or what they're political. That's what we're dealing with. And the alternative reality these oldsters have is just absolutely despicable and obsolete. And it stinks like mothballs. That's why they don't have any young people. It's a sign how little credibility they have with the youth. And why don't they have it? Well, the youth knows, but they don't have young people that are polished enough torpedoes. So how are they going to continue to ride this bus off the cliff like they intend to? Well, they don't know. Nothing about them is sustainable. So, but they don't care. It's always about, next week, next month, but not much longer than that. It shows in their lack of strategic vision, investment, and anything else. So F them. Mobilized party. So that's another thing RFK got right, was a third party. So I wouldn't recommend his party because I think people that know that the third party is necessary are the ones that set it up to jam it. But the real third party is called Mobilize, #Mobilize. So share this podcast, subscribe, and buy me some damn coffee. And we got to get that funding together because, these rip-offs, they seem to have a lot of money for some unknown reason, but the Mobilized Party has none, so that needs to change so that we can mobilize more. So let's take that idea he started and keep that ball rolling, and with none of the phonies, fakers, or ANOs that no party in U.S. politics ever needed or needs in the future.